Hello, welcome to Drawn by Brittany. I'm Brittany, and I'm going to have to go ahead and apologize ahead of time. I am currently fighting a cold. It's 12:30 in the morning, and I got to get up at 4 in the morning for a flight for school. So I'm currently not at my A game today, but I am going to try my best. And this is going to be just a one-take rodeo, so I'm probably going to get a little rambly because I have no idea what I'm going to talk about today. But I am going to start by talking about what this video is about. So we did the character design challenge this week, and if you don't know what that is, online, if you go to aesthetic generator, you go to this little generator bit and it'll pop up with a prompt for you to follow. And as you saw from the beginning, I got the term sewer spirit, and I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do with it. No idea where I was going to go with it. It was a strange one. So I got pretty stuck. The first things that came to mind were things I associated with sewers and spirit. I think of dirty and gross and haunting and creepy, but I didn't want to fall into the stereotypical like Halloween Ghostbusters kind of fest. So I thought on it for a bit, but some of the things that stuck out to me is I wanted to keep that grungy aesthetic. And I looked at some grunge fashion, trying to get some inspiration, some mood boards going from like Pinterest and Polyvore just to see where I was heading with it. Because at this point, I still had no idea what I was going to do. Maybe I was overthinking it, who knows. But I knew I wanted it to be grungy and a little bit edgy. And I had no idea how I was going to incorporate these prompts into it, sewer and spirit. I just knew I just wanted to be kind of grungy looking. But then I considered, okay, what do I think of when the sewer comes to mind? Let's start with that. What images did I think of? And when I thought of sewer, I immediately thought of that gross, iridescent, radioactive looking sludge. And I kind of went from there. I incorporated that into my overall design and I made that a big part of this illustration. And I ended up coming up with a solution of turning this slime into this person's hair and make her kind of this creepy, well, maybe not creepy, but kind of haunting spirit with this fantastical, sludgy looking hair. And I also gave her these glowing eyes. I really wanted her to look sort of creepy and haunting. And I slowly started coming up with a story for this girl. Because I was so focused on the term spirit, I was trying to figure out where did this girl come from? What is this chick about? And I thought of some old horror flicks. And again, I knew I didn't want to go anything stereotypical, but I started thinking of horror movies and stories and legends and how people associate creepy ghost fests with sewers. And I thought maybe this was someone who died in a sewer. Maybe it's someone who was wronged, someone who is still haunting that place. Or maybe she's just guarding the sewers. I'm not entirely sure. But these are just a few things I took into factoring when I did this image. And I try to do that a lot, is think about what this person is about when I design a character. And this is with any of my characters. I always try and think of what they're about. Okay? So, I was kind of wanting to incorporate little 90s elements in there as well. Like I said, I wanted to go a little bit more grungy in that aspect. So I kind of gave her that little 90s choker going on. Now, once I settled on the design, it was really easy for me to decide what I wanted to do for the color scheme. I knew right away that since I wanted her hair this bright green iridescent color, that I wanted her skin to complement it and bounce off of it and contrast it. So I kind of gave her this dead purpley flesh tone. I made her lips purple, and the rest of her clothes were neutrals and other shades of purple as well. But I wanted to make sure her eyes were the brightest thing in this image because I focused on the term spirit for my prompt, and I wanted to look glowing and haunting and sort of fantastical. I wanted her to be kind of ghost-like without falling entirely into that ghost stereotype. And her eyes ended up being my absolute favorite thing in this image. And there are a lot of things I like about this image and a lot of things I don't like. So before we get to the end, let me talk about a few things that I'm not satisfied with. If I had to change anything, I would cut off that entire bottom third of that image. I am not at all happy with how the sludge kind of came out at the bottom. It just kind of melted and became mush. It had no flow to it. I'm not entirely sure where that went, but I pretty much love it from the thighs up. I like how it wraps around it, and I like how some stuff does look iridescent and glowy and kind of look a little bit fantastical. But I wish I had put some more thought in how I carefully position that slime at the bottom. Now, one of my New Year's resolutions I said a few videos ago was to work on my coloring, and that included incorporating textures into my image. And that's why I probably am so in love with these eyes, is because I went and added texture for the first time. I use this gouache brush, and I am in love with how the glow in her eyes look. I'm so pleased with how that turned out. So because I was so pleased with it, I tried to incorporate other textures throughout the image, and it didn't quite work out as well as the eyes did. And it's still something I'm going to have to experiment in the future, but at least I know that, hey, I can incorporate this into my image, and it's a start. So we are about to wrap up our drawing here. We're just finishing up the line art now, and I think we're going to add in some little glowy highlights because, again, that glow was probably the most important thing in that image. Again, I apologize for being a little bit rambly. My voice is probably not at its best, but I wanted to make sure this video got out there for you guys, and I wanted to make sure I kept my promise of being productive this year, and I'm going to do it. I am not falling off the wagon yet, even if that means some of my videos aren't exactly the best. So, as we finish up, I think we're just adding a few more textures in there. Well, I'm glad you tuned in. Thank you for tolerating my rambling and my crazy voice today. I hope you all have a wonderful day. This has been Brittany from Draw My Brittany, signing off.